Ah, Argentina, the land of tango, beef, and more drama than a telenovela marathon. Sit back, relax, and let's dive into the roller coaster that is Argentine history, because who needs soap operas when you have reality? Let's kick things off in the 16th century when the Spanish arrived. They were looking for silver, so they named the place Argentina after the Latin word for it. Spoiler alert, they didn't find much silver, but they did leave behind a language and a penchant for late dinners. Fast forward to 1816. The locals decided they'd had enough of Spanish rule, probably tired of siestas cutting into their productivity, so they declared independence. Of course, what's independence without a few decades of internal conflict? Gotta keep things spicy. Enter Juan Manuel de Rosas in the 19th century, a man who thought, why have a democracy when you can have a dictatorship with a side of personal cult? He wore a signature red jacket, proving that fashion tyranny was also on the agenda. Then we have the late 1800s immigration wave. Millions of Europeans arrived, bringing with them new ideas, cultures, and, most importantly, better recipes. Buenos Aires started calling itself the Paris of South America, because why be humble when you can compare yourself to the French? Now, let's talk about the 20th century, a time when Argentina said, let's try every form of government like their flavors of ice cream. Democracy, military coups, fascism, they sampled it all. Variety is the spice of life, after all. Ah, Juan and Eva Perón, the power couple who turned politics into a Broadway show. Eva, or Evita as the people called her, was so beloved they made a musical about her. Not every first lady gets that honor. Most just get a library. Then came the Dirty War in the 1970s, a period where the government decided that the best way to deal with opposition was to make them disappear, literally. It's like they took notes from a dystopian novel and said, we can make this work. And who could forget the Falklands War in 1982? Argentina thought invading some cold, sheep-filled islands was a great idea. The UK disagreed. And after a brief conflict, Argentina learned that starting wars with former empires doesn't usually end well. The 90s brought economic reforms. The government pegged the peso to the US dollar, which is kind of like tying your boat to the Titanic after it hit the iceberg. Shockingly, it didn't prevent an economic collapse. In the 21st century, Argentina defaulted on its debt, recovered, and then flirted with defaulting again. Because why break a cycle when it's so darn thrilling? It's the economic version of repeatedly touching a hot stove. But hey, it's not all chaos and crises. Argentina gave us Lionel Messi, delicious Malbec wine, and the dance that's too passionate for words, the tango. So they must be doing something right between all the political plot twists. So, what's the takeaway from Argentina's history? Maybe it's that resilience is key. Or maybe it's that if you're going to have a tumultuous history, at least make it interesting enough for a YouTube video. Remember to lead them to paradise.